Hey everybody, how are you? I'm fantastic. I'm Lisa, and this is Crimes and Fashion, along with fashionistas, felons, and furlips, where we talk about some very bad, ignorant ass, usually poorly dressed, and oftentimes mean/crazy AF people while being dressed to kill. Oh my goodness. Y'all, it is so beautiful here in Florida today. I actually have like a super lightweight sweater on. When I got up this morning, it was chilly out. I was like shocked. I cannot remember the last time in, I don't know, a decade that this late in the year we have anything that's cool. Hey, Mike, how are you? My internet husband, Mike Stevens, has entered the building. Mike, my husband said to tell you that he thinks it's only fair since you are, since you and I spend some QT quality time together. Being my internet husband, he said to ask you which portion of my credit card bill you would like forwarded to you. Oh, well, kids, I just got done 35 in Jersey. Oh, god dang. Actually, that sounds kind of heavenly. Yeah, Florida, it's one of those places where when you're born here like me and you've like lived here your entire life and never left, we yearn for any weather that goes below 80. To me, 35, that sounds like, that's kind of like the sweet spot. Hey, Fairy Dust Diaries, how are you? Looking Beyond, how you doing? Okay, you guys, I just got done reading Vanity Fair, not once but twice, because I wanted to make sure I'm not going to read it all. It's way too long to do that. I have highlighted various portions of said article that we are going to read. Oh, I'm trying to, do I look taller today? Because I'm sitting on a pillow in an effort to, have my sciatic nerve cooperate longer than it typically does. Usually 2 hours, and that's it. That's all she wrote. Yeah, we might be here a little while. We might have to go to part 2 because I have several things I want to talk about. All right, so let's just jump right in and get this shit show started. Sorry, I always try to redact my personal info that is on my notes sometimes because I, send them to myself in an email. Fairy Dust, I agree that the Vanity Fair article was great. And I actually, I knew I had a subscription to Vanity Fair for quite a while. And you know how this thing is always listening, and it heard me say Vanity Fair, so quite nicely they sent me a come back for $8 a year. And that, oh my god, I could have gotten internet and print access, but I don't want the magazines laying around because they just accumulate like on my back porch in my guest room. Hey Prissy, how you doing? It's nice to see you. I hope you're feeling better. So yeah, I just took the media, the internet access. So I was able to read. I printed it and I read it twice. Y'all, I'm kind of old school. I read a Kindle every night, when I read my books. But for anything like this, where even though you can highlight on a Kindle, I like paper. I'm old. What can I say? So yes, I have got said article with various highlighting throughout. And everything I'm going to read is going to be in the order it was written. Obviously, I'm going to be skipping large parts, but I'm not, I'm going to read it straight through the parts I care about from front or from top to bottom. All righty. But before we get to that, what did you guys think of my, did y'all see my dress, from the wedding? Dress number 1. I'm seriously considering letting you all pick the dress. And I might wear dress number 2 tomorrow. Tuesday. I won't be going live tomorrow for my usual YouTubers behaving badly. We're going to do it today instead, because I've got a girlfriend coming over and I didn't do any of my weekly housework that I typically do on Mondays. So, all righty. Well, Prissy, I'm glad you're hanging in there. Oh, fairy dust. It's on the video from this morning. Which brings me to another note about some notable dresses besides the gorgeous one I was wearing this morning and the one I'm strongly getting pushed into the category of choice number 2 to wear to the wedding. So fairy dust, if you're interested, you can see it on the video from earlier this morning. On my community page, I'm going to upload, as I was going through pictures the other day, looking for a thumbnail picture to use, I have tons of pictures of, I think it was about, it was 3 or 4 years ago, I think. The Dallas Museum of Fine Arts was one of only 2 or 3 museums in the United States to get the traveling exhibit of Christian Dior's dresses. There's some accessories too, but oh my God, it was amazing. So I thought, my God, I need to post some of those pictures because I took all of them. They are not, none of them are from, published media. It was and I actually went to Dallas just to go see that exhibit. I have a friend who lives there, and of course I stayed with her, but that was my original purpose for going to Dallas, to see those gorgeous dresses. So I thought, this channel is skewed rather heavily to the crime portion of Crimes and Fashion because of all the dirtbags we talk about. So I thought, well, this would be a good way to get a little infusion of fashion besides, what I'm wearing on the daily. Okay, fairy dust, I am going to upload to the community page, and I'll do it on both channels, y'all. I will post some of my favorite. Every dress was stunning, and the Dallas Museum of Fine Art, the way it was curated was amazing. And my favorite was at the end, you go into this huge room that's got this gorgeous, vaulted, arched ceiling. And all along both sides of this very long room are just some of the finest examples of Dior that he ever made. And then straight ahead is up to the ceiling are these arched niches with all of the, well, not all, but many of the celebrity dresses. Nicole Kidman's, that chartreuse embroidered Oscar number was there. There's a gorgeous dress that Rihanna wore to something. The way it was curated, as much as what they were showing, was what made the exhibit. So I will definitely do that, I promise. And I've been meaning to do it for a while. Okay, well, since we're going to be talking about the media here and, all of our YouTube criminal correspondence, I drug out the good old, well-dressed, literate media credentials. Yes, did y'all know that? Oh, look at that serendipity. Did y'all know that I was credentialed? Yes, I'm credentialed by Vogue, Neiman Marcus, and Saks Fifth Avenue. Oh, and I've applied to Nordstrom. Prissy, they're pretty much out of everybody's price range. I mean, these dresses are, especially the ones the celebrities wore. I mean, those were given to them or loaned. But I actually am fortunate enough to I have a few pieces of Dior that's vintage. And let me tell you, I have a Dior little black dress that the construction is magnificent, and I will never get rid of it. I don't have tons of vintage, but I do have some vintage Dior. I have some vintage Pucci, Lanvin, and there's a few other things I have that I'm not remembering at the moment. But I actually did contact the Metropolitan Museum of Art, where the Met Gala is held every year. And hey, Heels, how you doing? Alabama, how are you? And spoke to the department that handles bequeathments. So, because hey, when I kick it, I don't want those. If my family doesn't want them, I would love to see them go to a museum. And listen, that is not saying that they would take the pieces I have and put them on display. No, but they curate. What's the word I'm looking for here? They like catalog designers through different periods of time, and they keep all of that for reference. So the pieces that I have got two Pucci blouses that are circa, I think we dated them very late 50s, early 60s based on the labels, and they're in immaculate condition, which is why I'm afraid to wear them. But I thought, I actually bought those in Savannah, Georgia on a trip. I bought one at a vintage store that no longer exists. He had the other one in the store. I went home. I thought about it for like a week, and I called him on the phone and said, hey, I was there last week and I bought that silk Pucci. Do you still have the other one? And would you please ship it to me? And he did. And do you think I've ever worn them? No. Maybe before it gets too hot, I will wear the one that's a perfect example of Pucci. I mean, it embodies everything that is Pucci. It's neon print, it's silk. But silk back then was a lot heavier than what we have now, so it's very hot. So if I'm going to wear it, I need to wear it before it heats up much more. All right. Another little housekeeping matter. That book that I recommended, Murdoch, she wrote. Hey, twin thing, how you doing? Here's what I'm going to say about that. I did finish it last night. I did not realize that author has written several books. She wrote a book about the Chris Watts case, another one that I can't remember, and she has written some fiction works. Her writing style is good. However, there are lots and lots and lots of facts or her ideas on things about the Murdoch case that, now that the trial is over, are incorrect. And it's not a small number of things. So, Prissy, Truman Capote in Cold Blood. I read that years ago, but I might skim through it again because I would love to do that. That's a great book. And In Cold Blood by Truman Capote is the kind of like the OG quintessential true crime book. That book, written about the Clutter family, that book really helped put Capote on the map. Oh, and gosh, he was an odd little man. But, you know, interestingly enough, we're going to talk about Vanity Fair, and I believe Capote had a relationship with Vanity Fair. So I have read it, but I might skim through it again because it's been, ooh, God, it's probably been 20 years since I read it. But Murdoch, she wrote, if you have a Kindle Unlimited subscription and you get to read it free, which of course it's not free because you're paying for that Kindle Unlimited, you know, read it. There's some interesting thoughts that she has on certain things. But like I said, there's a lot of things that have borne out to be not true that she wrote about. And just for me personally, with a subject matter that is that heavy, it's real heavy on the sarcasm. And so, you know, I love some good sarcasm. Hello. But there's a time and a place. And let's just say that, ooh, she's got some very, very strong ideas about Maggie and Paul. And I'm not saying that she's probably not correct in a lot of them. I would not recommend paying retail price for it. That's all I'm going to say. Yeah, Heels. Capote, believe it or not, Capote often held court at Studio 54 because back in that day, that was very much the place to see and be seen. Oh, you know, that's where I said PayPal Mal and her disco dumpster outfit, you know, the big Afro wig she was trying to rock. And I said that, oh yeah, she looked like one of those rejects standing out in front of Studio 54 that Steve Rubell would have never let in the door. But yes, Truman Capote, he spent a lot of nights at Studio 54, and he was very much loved by and loved, well, you know, as much as you can love these ladies, what he called his swans. And the swans were, you know, the ladies who lunch, oh God, I'm trying to remember who one of his favorites was. Oh, Bunny Mellon. I think Bunny Mellon was one of his favorites. And oh God, who is the one who did the giant party every year? I think it was usually held at the Plaza Hotel. She was a society matron, but yeah, Truman Capote, himself a very strange guy. He was, you know, he had a very odd way of speaking. But whoo, he proves that the pen is mightier than, well, this thing that, you know, is now the modern day sword. So I definitely would recommend reading In Cold Blood, because like I said, it is the OG. But he did write other books, but that one is the one that, you know, really propelled him to fame. And yes, he was best friends with Harper Lee. And I don't know, was Capote in To Kill a Mockingbird? Was there any character in To Kill a Mockingbird that was modeled after Capote? I've read that one too, but it's been many years, so I don't remember. Okay, so here we go. Let's off with the shit show. Oh, I'm not doing too bad. How long are we in here? Oh, 20 minutes. Okay. As always, please, anyone that I speak about here, do not go to their channels and harass them. Do not give them hate. And by all means, even though this is one of their go-tos, doxing, please don't do that, because we don't roll that way, even though the dirtbags do. Alabama, woo, yes. That would be very unsettling to have Truman Capote dating a family member. Oh my gosh, who was it that played, Philip Seymour Hoffman when he played Capote? Did he win an Oscar for that? Tonight is Oscar night. God, what was that movie called? Was it just Capote, I think? My God, he was fantastic. And he had, oh my God, he had the voice, the mannerisms. Okay. Everything I'm going to discuss, aside from the Vanity Fair article, is courtesy of the following clip channels, which a big thank you to you all doing the filthy job that we cannot bear to do. And watch these dirtbags to keep us informed. Heels in the Air, Deets on the Street, Earth, Chronicles of the Shady, and Couch Clips. Oh, and I think, is there something called Cherry Picked Clips? And Heels, what's the name of that clip channel that we talked about the other day? You know, that put out Molly's thoughts on you. I'm sorry, you guys, I'm reading the chat. Anyway, Heels, if you know who I'm talking about, just we put it in the chat so I can give them a shout out too. Okay, very briefly. I'm just gonna call this woman Gangrene Lady. Wow. Oh yeah, we're going right on into the crazy. We are diving in head first. Yes, bash the tragedy pimps. That's another one. And there's another one with tragedy pimps in the name. Yeah, I love bash the tragedy pimps. Put it in the chat if you think of it. Okay, so Gangrene Lady. Ma'am, I've only had the pleasure, not really, of encountering you live and in person one day at Duke Pharaoh's chat. Woo! Yeah, she thought she was going to tangle with me. And I think I told her something along the lines of, sweetie, like, don't attempt to have a battle of wits. You are underarmed going in. So no. And she, you know, like a lot of people that seemingly have a lot of issues, we'll just say, she was flying that flag. I believe she told me at one point, after screaming a bunch of expletives while frothing at the mouth, apparently, she told me that she went to the most expensive boarding school in this country. So, of course, I asked her repeatedly, much like we're always asking Betty for the name of that judge that became a federal judge that she will never name. Yeah, this lady wouldn't give me the name of her school, even though I asked her, I don't know, probably 5 times. Lady, listen, it's no skin off my ass. I don't care if you have 9 toes, 10 toes, 2 feet, 1 foot, 2 legs, 1 leg. I don't give a damn. But boy, woo, just as oh yes, Heels, menace to sobriety. You know, that's interesting you mentioned that, because they actually reached out to me the other day to send me I think it was an intro they were working on, and yours truly was in the background. So yes, gangrene lady. And listen, you don't have to be a doctor, ma'am, to diagnose that you got a serious problem going on there. And I don't know, maybe, I don't know, put the YouTube down and get to the emergency room, because that is not going to get better on its own. No, it will get worse, and you could lose body parts, and lots of them. So, people, we seem to have a proliferation of cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs on here. It's kind of like YouTube has become the modern day version of, the person that either stands in front of the grocery store, sits on a park bench maybe, stands in the median, talking to somebody that, only he can see. Now these people have like they get to do it. They get to fly that crazy flag from the comfort of their couch, or their Airbnb's couch, or their car, or whatever the hell it is. And people give them money, which I've said 100 times. I don't give a damn who you give your money to. I'm not asking for your money, so I don't care who you give it to. But, might I suggest, if you're interested in supporting mental health and those who are grappling and or don't have much, consider supporting a community-based center, I don't know, a facility that I'm sure is probably underfunded. Yeah, because I see a lot of really gross, disgusting behavior, and gross, disgusting people that, they're really encouraged by not just people watching them, but people giving them money. Yeah. But yeah, that one, that one I've just kind of become familiar with in the unfortunately not very distant past. And yeah, that's all I'm going to say on that one, because that one needs no more oxygen. Well, she needs oxygen, just not from me. Oh, now on to YouTube's classiest rich bitch, Molly Golightly. Why do they call her? Well, I know why, but honestly, I saw a clip, and I think this was definitely, I think it was Chronicles of the Shady. And the title of this was, Molly Golightly does not care about Summer Wells. And up pops a clip of, the female Dawn Madden, who, yes, I know, I am wearing the same glasses. And I like the glasses. I like them on me. Actually, they look good on her too. I'm not going to take that away from her. It's just everything else that's, glasses are the best thing about her. Oh, Alabama. I don't know who that is that's doing that, but I just would not. I wouldn't entertain it. I wouldn't. It encourages. Kind of like when you get listen, you don't need me to tell you how to handle that, but that would be my suggestion. So yeah, we have Molly making oh my God. Listen, Molly, I don't give a shit if you drive a Range Rover. I don't care that your husband's in finance. I don't care if you make $1 million fucking dollars on YouTube and super chats. I just don't. It has no bearing on what I see in you. And you should try to be a little less disgusting and vile, foul, because of all these disgusting people that I talk about, you are one of the few that can be very entertaining. I mean, you have done things that have really made me laugh, and not in a bad way. You can be very funny. You can be self-deprecating. But you can also be an absolute, just a pig, okay? And I can tell you this. Whatever your feelings about Candace Wells or any other woman for that matter, I mean, and I'm including ones that are sitting in prison, you know, even on death row. I have never in my life uttered the words, I don't know, take a bat, and I mean, I won't even say it because it's beneath me. I don't speak like that. But let's just say, take a bat and jam it in another woman's nether regions, we'll just say. Are you kidding me right now? I'll tell you what, all you people that behave like this, whether you're a man or a woman, it doesn't matter. And forget about what people like me have to say. I get it. You don't give a shit. You don't know me, and I don't know you. It's no skin off of either one of our asses, okay? It's not. I completely understand that. Everything I say to you people is all rhetorical, okay? It's content. That's all it is. That's me. That's me. Just this is my reading you dirtbags for filth. This is my Sudoku, because I don't do those things. And you know, I'm way out of school, and I don't have kids in school, so you know, you got to keep your instruments honed. Use it or lose it kind of thing. So forget about what any people on the internet have to say. I get it. But as a mother, if you don't think that your kids' friends see all this shit, as well as their parents, I promise you they do. And I think it's a really terrible, I think it's a terrible thing to do for your child. And I'm not going to say any more about that because I don't speak on people's kids, and I'm not speaking on yours. I would never presume to do that, but I'm speaking as a mother. So it's pretty gross. And furthermore, you know, when you talk like that to me, you are a slightly classed up version of Prayer Garden of America. Well, maybe classed up isn't the right word. You're better. You're definitely much better spoken, but she's another one who is I've said before, she's a tragedy pimp. Make no mistake. She only has one client, and that's Summer Wells. She has put that poor child's name in her title probably every single night since, you know, I don't know what, the first week she went missing, and says the most foul, vile, disgusting things with a child's name and picture in her thumbnail. And apparently you're the same thing. So it's just, and it, like everything, it goes back to the subs. Forget about what these people say to you. it's what they do that should bother you. And anybody that would speak those words when talking about a child and that child's mother, doesn't matter what your feelings on Don and Candace are. And, you know, you helped get them fired from their job. Isn't that enough? Like, and believe me when I tell you, I'm not a Wells supporter. But I also would never do the things you all have done. But that's just me. So yeah, that was just, oh my God, that was so gross. That was honestly, I don't know. Hey, PP Gate, how you doing? I don't know why any damn thing on here surprises me. It shouldn't. Nothing should. I mean, I swear to you, I think most of these people, like, are y'all soulless? I don't. I think it's what keeps me here, because kind of like the whole genre of true crime, crama, call it whatever you will. I'm firmly speaking about crama at the moment. None of this is real true crime. The real true crime creators don't talk about this shit, and they don't do this shit. You know, Gray Hughes, Chasing Truth, those kinds of creators. They don't get down in the muck. But whether it's true crime or crama and all the lowlifes that inhabit crama, I know for me, what has always fascinated me about true crime and now about crama and keeps me coming back and talking about it. Well, first of all, once you do so, it's very hard to get their hooks out of you, so to speak. And it's the whole idea of, it's such an abstract concept. Like, if you're normal, you do not understand for 1 second how people do the things they do as far as these terrible crimes go. And we're all fascinated by things we can't understand. I can't understand any of this shit. I do not know why people who are not smart, none of them are particularly like super attractive, because listen, there's a lot of things people will forgive if, you know, you're hot. They're not nice. They don't even get their facts straight most of the time. So I'm very fascinated by, why the fuck do people want to follow them and or give them money? I don't know. I don't have the answer. And that's why I keep talking about it, because it fascinates me. But I don't have the answer for a lot of things, you know? The pyramids, I don't know how they got there. Hanging Gardens of Babylon, I don't know how they do it. The Grand Canyon, I mean, we know water made it, but I don't, there's lots of, let's just say, wonders of the world, both man-made and natural, that I don't understand, but I'm fascinated by them. Well, it's kind of like this swamp. Hey, Tag, how are you doing? I am having a very good day. Thank you. So, so this brings us to Dolly Vision. I heard him. Oh, Jonesin. That was another channel I wanted to mention. She played a very brief clip the other day of Dolly being really shitty to Paper Cut Tina, who I don't know from Adam. The only thing I know about her is the few times I've seen her on the clips on Dolly's panel. But I do know that she's a diehard. She loves Dolly. And hey, great. I'm not trying to tell you who to like, but on this clip that I saw on Joneson, he was basically excoriating her because she wanted to talk about another channel. It was Joneson. And Dolly said something about those are cockroaches. She's a cockroach. Wow. Wow. That's rich. Coming from you? You know, Dolly, I know that you and all the rest of them, y'all have you know nothing about class, manners, couth. But here's just a little, word of advice from me to you. You ought to try to be a little less bossy and a little nicer to people who I'm presuming are paying the lot rent on your trailer, funding your DoorDash and Uber Eats, all your tragedy pimping trips while you're out solving the world's crimes. Yeah, it's like, dude, I don't know who you think you are to be calling anybody a cockroach. Ooh, like I said, that's rich. That's very rich. Yeah, Alabama, that is, it was disgusting. It was just, I don't know. I've just never, I mean, my inclination is to blame it on New Jersey, but I wouldn't make such a broad statement. Hey, Beer Can, how you doing? But I mean, I don't know women who act like that. I don't know women who speak like that. I have never mind have I never uttered those words. They have never run through my head. Now that doesn't mean that I don't watch all you dirtbags and say, oh my God, I wish somebody would knock him the hell out. Like, yes, but saying I think someone should take a bat and violate someone with it, and I don't mean in the sorry you guys, the glare. Oh my God, that's better. I tried to keep that blind all the way open, but the glare from the camera, whoo, it's messing with my contacts. Okay, that's better. So yeah, Dolly, you can talk all you want about, your little turtle gang, your snapping turtle gang. Apparently Dolly's little turtle island, well, I think it's over by Cuba. It's definitely communist because you're apparently not allowed to go to other islands. I have to stop looking at the chat. Yeah, I don't get it. I do not get it. But I guess that's what keeps me coming back and talking about it, because I just don't get it. Because in my world, I don't behave like this. I don't do things like this. And the people I know don't. And I definitely don't know any men that would call another woman a cockroach. That's just so gross. What? I mean, I don't understand why. Well, no, I think a little bit of me does understand it. I was going to say, I don't understand why civility is something that is just not possible. But I think so many of these people, I don't know, maybe this is just how their whole life has gone. And this is, that may very well be the case. It may be that this is what they know, so it's their go-to. So that may account for some of it. I on the other hand, I don't get it. But yeah, I would just try being a little nicer to people who are probably paying your bills. Because if YouTube is your job, then they're paying your bills. And I don't know, I don't understand the thought process behind being shitty, hateful, and controlling of those that are funding your existence. Okay, now on to JLR. Oh, do you remember what I was just saying about, now listen, I'm not going to say that take Molly's thoughts about the bat. I'm not going to turn around and say that, oh, I wish somebody would do that to him. No, I don't. I do wish somebody would knock him out cold. I wish somebody would lay that asshole out flat on the sidewalk. Yes, I do. I'm sorry that I do. I would never do it and would have nothing to do with it. And I shouldn't sit up here condoning something like that, but let's just say that him and bitch whore Betty, they have been pushing what I call begging for it. So I think, there comes a point when be careful what you wish for, because you might get it. And when I said I would like to see him get laid out cold, I do not mean. Let me also add on to that statement that I also want him to be able to get up under his own steam. Okay, I don't wish a TBI on him. Well, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, yes. Traumatic brain injury, no. I just wanted to clarify that. Okay. So I noticed in JLR's interview on Court TV, he's got his, of course, he's got his, did it say media or press on the hat, the shirt, and I'm not sure if it was this or another clip I saw him, but he had on, I think it was his hat, and it said JLR, and he had a copyright next to it. And of course, hey, Bachelor Tragedy Pimps, how you doing? And of course, that Mike Stevens and chat, let's calm down. We're not talking about Leilani. When I saw that little copyright symbol, I said, self, can you copyright 3 letters? Because Jonathan, this might come as a surprise to you, honey, but you are not the only person who's got the monogram JLR. Although, if we're going to monogram, if you want to be proper about it, well, it should say J, R in the middle, L on the other side. But, you have no class and don't know anything about shit like that, so it doesn't really matter. So I got to thinking, JLR. I don't know if you can copyright that. Betty does the same bullshit with her little picture. My opinion, if I had to make a guess, I have never tried to copyright anything. However, I can tell you that at one time, Yves Saint Laurent had a reddish pink colored sole of a shoe. Well, Mr. Louboutin, who all of the soles of every pair of shoes he designs and manufactures, has a red sole. In popular culture, I think they're referred to as red bottoms. Well, he felt some type of way about what at the time was still Yves Saint Laurent. Now it is just Saint Laurent. And there was a lawsuit, and I know that he tried to get an injunction stopping Saint Laurent from using that color sole. Don't hold me to this because I'm not positive, but if memory serves me correctly, Saint Laurent was able to show the court that they had used various colored soles on shoes through the years. And I can attest, I have 2 pairs of Yves Saint Laurent boots that both have a royal blue sole. Very pretty. I think Louboutin lost that particular argument, but I'm not positive. So my personal opinion is that that's just some bullshit they put there. I don't believe they own the copyright to, I don't think you can copyright 3 letters. Because lots of people would have the JLR monogram. That's just my guess. I don't know what it costs to apply for a copyright patent protection, but if I had to guess, I would say that, it would be something that would far exceed their DIY ability. And let's face it, if the application turned out anything like Betty's DIY hair, well, that would be a disaster. So that's just my guess. But, I said, self, here's what I think. Instead of Jonathan Lee Riches, when I see it, this is what I am naming that in my mind. JLR stands for Jonathan Loves Risperdal. And for any of you not familiar with Risperdal, it is spelled Risperdal, and I believe that is the branded name for I forget what the manufacturer's scientific name is. Oh goodness, I don't remember. But let's just say that it is of a class of medications that he is quite familiar with. I don't know if he still takes them, but when he was in federal prison, was he in federal prison? I think he was. When he was in prison in the psych unit of said prison, he might have taken a drug much like Risperdal. I don't know. Alabama, yes, he has been designated I believe, a vexatious litigant. He is not allowed to file any lawsuits anywhere without the express and explicit consent of a judge. So, PP-gate, yes, that is correct. But in his case, I wasn't thinking for that reason. PP-gate's comment says, I'm very familiar with the drug. It is used for autism in a lot of cases, which absolutely, that is correct. But that wasn't the use I was thinking of for him. It has other uses. Yes, beer can, ding, 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 winner, winner, chicken dinner. And I don't want him to sue me, so I'm not going to read that out loud. If you really want to know what it's for, well, just, go let your fingers do the walking. Do y'all remember that from back in the day? What was that, General Telephone, GE? Remember that commercial? It was for the phone book. Let your fingers do the walking. Oh, the good old days of phone books. Okay, so here we have JLR appearing on Court TV with Vinnie Politan, which, by the way, probably never watching Court TV again. Not when there's so many other news sources of the type. I'm sorry, if I was around when Court TV made its debut, okay? Yeah, I go back that far. If this is the depth to which they have sunk, that they need to bring ass clowns like Jonathan Loves Risperdal on, and I get it. Vinnie Politan was definitely, much like Vanity Fair was punking Betty and calling her out for the dumbass bitch that she is, in my opinion. Vinnie Politan was doing the same. It was, but see, Jonathan, he is so in his own little world. Where the rest of us saw it for what it was, he just saw it as a way to get his brand out there. His Jonathan Loves Risperdal. Yeah, no, that's not really what it means. It means Jonathan Lee Riches. That's just what I think when I look at it. Much like P.T. Barnum, all publicity is good publicity. Oh no, I beg to differ. But I guess it just depends on what your goal is, what you're trying to do. Molly's Moose Knuckle has something to say. Well, hey. I think she is friends with him. I think they went to high school together, but I know next to nothing about that, so I'm not the one to opine too much on that. But okay, so here we have JLR, who apparently, these pimpy people fancy themselves as, the term I hear bandied about is a term that Hunter S. Thompson coined, gonzo journalism. You dipshits, the only thing gonzo about you all is your resemblance to that Muppets puppet from back in the day. But in the case of JLR and Betty, the Muppet has more hair and better hair. Hey, Catherine, how are you? So here we have Vinnie Politan with JLR on panel. Now, the backstory from, I don't know if this is the gospel truth, but my understanding is, as JLR was in front of the courthouse and probably various other places in Colleton County, well, he crossed paths with Court TV. Now, can you imagine what they must have said when they all, Chanley Painter and Vinny and all the camera people and all the people it takes to put on a production, like Court TV. Can you imagine the talk at dinner? I'm sure it went a little something like this. Oh my God, did you guys see that absolutely fucking creepy weirdo with the press and media shirt on screaming at Buster Murdoch? Oh my God, I held my purse a little tighter when I had to walk by him. And I made sure, that when I went into court, was he in court? If he was, they made sure they weren't sitting near him. I can hear the conversation at the table. I mean, it had to have been priceless. Oh, yes, Catherine, he absolutely does. And so we've got Jonathan on panel, and this is about the police report that was filed by Buster Murdoch's girlfriend, Brooklyn. I don't know Brooklyn's last name. It doesn't matter. But apparently she has a home. I don't know if she rents it. It's her parents' home. If they live there together. I don't know. It's in Hilton Head, which is a very lovely tourist town. I was there quite a lot when I was a kid. And it runs the gamut from everything from luxury properties to, nothing's cheap there, but there's a gamut of here, and everything in between. And shockingly, not at all. The real media, as well as Ass Clown clown posse media like JLR and the tragedy pimps were harassing, camped out, and according to Brooklyn, who my understanding is she is the one who filed the police report, because as Vinnie Politan's other guest, the real lawyer, pointed out, I believe you have to file 2 police reports in South Carolina in order to get a restraining order. And I have no doubt that all of these, the real media and the loser clown posse, JLR and company, are hounding these people. And listen, JLR has no fucking idea if Buster Murdaugh really and truly has anything to do with Stephen Smith and what happened to him. If he does, I'm sure he will be indicted and or charged and tried. But see, these assholes, that's the part they don't believe in. And as a convicted felon on probation or parole, which either one it is, Jonathan JLR, I bet you sure wanted your constitutional rights afforded to you, didn't you, asshole? But you don't think that Buster Murdaugh and Brooklyn, who, you know, first I heard, I don't believe she has been accused by anyone of having anything to do with hurting and or killing anyone. So you have no right to be hounding that woman or him. And I don't care what he says. Because in my opinion, he is a mentally unwell, disgusting little man who is riddled with issues, as evidenced by his very lengthy criminal record. Which, by the way, Jonathan, you know, it's really interesting. A copy of your conditions for parole, I guess it is. I'm just going to say parole / probation because I'm not certain which one it is. And unlike you, D-bag, I don't just go around stating things are fact when I don't know. So I'd rather err on the side of caution and use those 2 terms interchangeably. Zen 11, how are you? Welcome. I don't recognize your name. To call it, yes, he is a creep. He's the president of the Creep Patrol. That's the nicest thing you can say about him, that he's a creep. And here's the thing. I tell you guys all the time, I love me some irony. So let's see, we've got bitch whore Betty, who got a law passed in her own state. No, she didn't get it passed, but there was a law passed because of her in her own state and the disgusting, deplorable behavior that she exhibited during the Brian Laundrie case, and made every single person on that street, made their life a living hell because of stupid dumbasses like her. So she bet if you and I, who, by the way, I don't live that far from her, I could go stand up and down her street holding the sign, screaming to all her neighbors about, you know, she's this, she's that, she's the other. Of course, they'd all stop the car and go, hey, listen, we already got the memo. We hate that bitch. Yeah, that's how that would go. And I got better things to do with my life. But the irony of it is, if I wanted to do that, and I think that under a certain amount of people, I may be wrong about this, but even if I wanted to do that, Because Betty, unlike you, I've got a life. I've got a husband. I've got friends. I've got a dog. A lovely family. I don't have time to do the bizarre shit that you do that I guess in your world passes for having a life. Not in mine. Even if I wanted to go do that, well, I can't because her behavior protects her from people like her. But she can go all over the country doing it in your neighborhood. Hey Elvis, how are you? Alabama, correct. They are, my understanding is there are some very hot leads, I guess, in Stephen Smith's case. And I do think that we're going to see, I hope, for his family. I absolutely hope that. And, you know, this is the kind of thing with people like Dirtbag Jonathan. This is what pisses me off. Listen up, asshole. You and all your disgusting tragedy pimp posse. You do not care more than those people's families about justice. So shut the fuck up. Sit down. I'd have a lot more respect if you were a man. Dude, you're a fucking boy at best, and even that I question. But if you were a man, you would just say, yeah, you know what? Suck it. I don't give a shit about exploiting people. I'm a fucking loser with a felony record a mile long. I can't get a real job. So this is what I do. Oh, and I'm not that bright either. So this is what I do. And I call it work. Take the L. You are the L. At least that I could respect. But you and your skanks, you're tripping through the daisies, running through the bushes, professing to care so much. You don't give a shit about any of these people. You don't even care about yourself, as evidenced by I mean, these, God, they just make me sick. Because I see, oh my God, it's like, it's not about what you do with this, which if I were devoid of class, like some of your posse members, oh, well, I believe that there's a term for this, but I don't talk like that. So, yeah. It's not about what you say. It's about what you do. And what you do is like that neon sign behind me. You are a loser who's a criminal. Former, definitely documented. I'm sure future as well. And you're not very smart, because for someone who is currently on probation and or parole, with their court documents all over YouTube, you know, you just keep on bothering the Murdochs. God, I mean, that could be the answer to all our prayers, truthfully. So yes, Jonathan, I'm all for it. You just keep it up. But can we dispense with the notion that you or Blowjob Betty, I mean, bitch whore Betty, oh, bull whore Betty, yeah, her, Molly, PayPal Mal, Dirtbag Dolly, you know, all the posse members. Can we just get over this bullshit that you put forth, that you actually care about any of these people? Because you don't. and you do way more harm than you've ever done good. And you, I don't think, have probably ever done a good thing in your life. So to think that you're going to affect justice for anyone, no. You're a creep who is so thirsty and desperate for attention that y'all don't even know when you're getting punked. It's like they don't understand sarcasm. They don't. Oh, but they do understand dark humor. They don't understand hyperbole. They don't get any of this shit. That's what enables them to think that the Vanity Fair article excoriating people like them is some kind of an endorsement, or appearing on court TV looking like, I mean, Jonathan, you are to media well, you know how Chucky the doll, if the media had a plastic doll that you could buy at Toys R Us, it would look like you. It would be fashioned after you, JLR. Yes. Catherine, you're right. Oh my God, I forgot about that. That bastard did do that, didn't he? He had his Adam Lanza doll. Listen, people. Research him. And I tell you what, if you support that thing after researching, do your independent research. Don't take my word for it. Don't take anybody's word for it. Trust me. That's all you have to do. Everything you need to know is right there. And if you still support that, then maybe you ought to run to a shrink because you got to screw loose. But you know, water seeks its own level, so that, well, there you go. That could explain that. Yeah, I'd be embarrassed. I would be embarrassed to say that I was a supporter of any of them, quite frankly, because it really doesn't speak to your own intellect if that's what you choose to support. Okay? They all, with the exception of maybe one, and that would be PayPal Mal, but the rest of them have criminal records. Okay? And I'm not talking a one and done. Obviously, JLR's is the most serious, all the way down to Molly. So, and yes, I myself, because I'm sure y'all would love to out me. I've already done it. I've already told all of YouTube about my one white-collar criminal trespass. Well, it wasn't a trespass. It was a forgery for $100 when I was 18, 35 years ago, and have never had another brush with the law. So, oh, Molly's Moose Knuckle, PayPal Mal has a record too. What's hers? Isn't it? Wait, I do remember hearing something one time. Wasn't it something about a lawnmower? I think of all of them, she probably has the least troublesome record. But this is a man. In the case of JLR, well, supposedly. I mean, I can't attest. PayPal Mal, never mind. I can't confirm that JLR is a man. I don't know any men that look or act like that. You think he's ever been in a fight? Like, was he somebody's bitch in prison, do you think? I tend to think he was, because he's kind of like a girly man. I'm pretty sure he could wear my jeans. Which, Jonathan, dude, girl, dude. Yeah, I guess you're a guy. But for purposes of this discussion, yeah, we'll go with that. Jonathan, woo. I got a couple problems with the whole visual. We'll just listen. If you're going to be a damn world famous internet YouTube Crime, sleuth, and sensation, you got to tighten this game up. I don't know who told you those eyebrows belong on a human face. Dude, there's only a couple people that can pull those off, and I wouldn't even recommend it to them, okay? You're not supposed to put your eyebrows on with a can of Krylon spray paint and a stencil. Possibly a 19, 20-year-old makeup influencer could get away with those, and even then I'd be going, whoa, she's a gorgeous girl, but the eyebrows, whoa, but whoa, like half, by half. You cannot. I don't know a man alive that draws his eyebrows on or sprays them on in your case. And like, I don't even think Liberace did shit like that. Oh, did somebody introduce you to Sephora and you said, oh no, I'm a cheap bastard. I didn't grift enough this week. I ain't going to Sephora. Take me to the Home Depot. Home Depot and Krylon is no substitute for Anastasia Beverly Hills. Or like, Jonathan, go to the damn Ulta to the Benefit Brow Bar. Although, I don't know. Oh my, wait. I missed something in the chat. I was completely guessing, but I'm right. Heels in the Air's comment says he actually changed his name to Joanne in prison to try to get into the women's side. Changed his name to Joanne. Yes, Jonathan. Did you call your mommy and tell her you needed like ooh, damn, you gotta put some. What's available in the commissary for let's just say, well, you know, they always say if you have the right tools, it makes the job easier. I'm just, oh God, Jonathan, it hurts me to think about it, but I'm pretty sure that, I mean, they got a lot of uses for top ramen in there, but oh God, slippery when wet is not one of them. My God. And yes, and there's your court TV man on the street. So here's a couple things I noticed, Jonathan, that we're going to need to work on, okay? You got to tighten this game up, especially if you're going to represent everybody in the Krama swamp, okay? I need you to, listen, do you want me to loan you a pair of my jeans? It's not going to be a loan. You're going to keep them, and I'm not going to ask for them back, and I'm not going to give you like, you know, you're not getting a pair of Frame. You're not, I might have an old pair of Citizens of Humanity I can give you, but you know, no like redone or no, none of that. But I think we can improve on what you got going on there. So the eyebrows, Jonathan, take them down a notch for fuck's sake. At least do me a favor. If you insist on spray painting your brows on, can you get a lovely shade of brown perhaps? Because the black, it's just so jarring, Jonathan. Oh God, it makes me cringe every time I see it. And I know I'm not alone. So we got the hat, the shirt, the eyebrows. Oh, and then something new I've never seen before. Well, he had some, they look like air traffic controller size headphones over the top of the hat. Jonathan, really? The fucking headphones were bigger than your head. I mean, how much do you weigh, Jonathan? Dude, you're looking a little anorexic. Somebody needs to shove a burger down his throat. Oh, think back to the commissary. Yeah, Jonathan, you're looking a little drawn through here. Like, you know, very gaunt. Are you doing a movie where you're going to play like an ill person? Is that what you're doing? Are you getting in fighting shape for a role? that you're not telling us about? Or do you have an eating disorder? God, I don't know, but you look, Jonathan, I mean, I think you need to burger or 12. And you know, I don't know what kind of headphones you had on besides headphones that make your very obvious girly man size evident, because like I said, they were bigger than your head. But I've seen lots of people wearing Beats, and those are, well, God, who's the guy that made those? It was Jimmy Iovine, and was it Dr. Dre? I think it was Dr. Dre. Well, hell, if they work for famous rappers, Jonathan, I am sure they will suffice for your celebrity interviews. And, murderer on the street. Not you, but the people you're chasing down. So I don't know. Jonathan, just consider it, because those headphones really made your gaunt waif like heroin chic back in the days of Kate Moss. Yes, you're like the JLR, body by Kate Moss. Gosh, Jonathan, I mean, you might have the rest of us like getting kind of jelly over how Annie looking you are. Yes. Do you have a friend named Annie? I mean, I'm not saying you do, but something's going on. I hope you're okay. Oh, you know what is something that stuck out so much with this? And I swear to you, I noticed it because Alabama, he called you a hater. Jonathan, right here, buddy. What the fuck do you have that Alabama truth seeker or me or anybody else with a functioning intellect wants from you? What? Jonathan, how often do you have a new house? Or do you just change your decor inside? Because it looks like you've always got a new house. I'm just trying to figure out what it is no. We're not haters, Jonathan. And I'll speak for me and Alabama. Only in this regard. And she hasn't given me permission to, but I think she'll be okay with it. Jonathan, we're not haters. We're commentators. We're just commenting on what you're presenting. And I can't help it that you've got a criminal record that looks the length of the red carpet they're going to roll out tonight. It used to be called the Dorothy Chandler Pavilion, and then it was the Kodak Pavilion. I don't know what it is now, where they have the Oscars, but yeah. Mike, I've heard various things about his many houses. What I'm pretty sure he doesn't have is a fixed home on the same plot of dirt that he owns. No. I've heard that there's Airbnbs. I've heard the thing about the parents. Don't know, really don't care. But when people like this, like total losers in life, tell the normal people that we are haters, the question I always ask is, what is it you have that we want? I've already made it abundantly clear that I do this for fun. It's a hobby. I'm not trying to get internet fame, YouTube fame. No, this is just my Sudoku. I think that's how you say that. I just do this to keep my brain sharp. If I pick up some subs while metaphorically standing on your head and or neck with my 6-inch, 7-inch Christian Louboutins, oh, it thrills me. I love that. But that's where it starts and ends. And if I can grow a channel, fantastic. And if I can't, well, that's okay. I tend to see the same people who are kind enough to come and sit in the chat while I blah, 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 blah. Oh, and Zen 1111 Tarot, welcome. I thought you were new. So yeah, I don't have to go harass victims of crime so I can eat. Well, and apparently, God, Jonathan, what are you doing with all your super chats, dude? Doesn't look like you're eating. And if you need, I used to say that I knew the interstate exit for almost every decent shopping venue in the state of Florida and some of Georgia, because I used to have to travel a lot. But I don't know that so much anymore. But I do know a lot of good restaurants all over the place. So if you need a recommendation, slide into my DMs. I'd be happy to share. Well, Beer Can, thank you so much. She says you have a great perspective on the tragedy, Pimps. Well, I mean, I think I'm just, all joking aside, I think all I'm doing, oh, son of a bitch, all I'm doing is switching glasses because I'm not getting off this chair again. I don't think I'm doing anything, more. I may say it in a more unique way or a different way than many of the other people that comment on them. But we all have the same, I think, same basic thoughts. Okay. Now, you guys have heard me say many times, listen, these dipshits, they don't even speak proper English a percentage of the time, okay? And I'm sorry, when you're going to call yourself a journalist and say you're a member of the media, you got to tighten that game up too, baby. Here's a quote from Jonathan. When speaking on, this isn't a grammar or usage error. This is just, this is something that I harp on all the time that people say incorrectly. I'm sorry, I'm kind of like the grammar police. And out in your normal life, it's no harm, no foul. But when you are holding yourself out as a journalist, I'm sorry, you need to speak properly. You need to write properly. And several of them have large problems with this. So this is what Jonathan had to say about Brooklyn, who had to file a police report. Can you imagine what this girl is going through for the sin of being the girlfriend of Buster Murdaugh? And listen, we all have our thoughts on the Murdaugh family and different members of that family and what they may or may not be involved in. But where he's concerned, he has not been charged with any crime. I have heard in books, on YouTube, in real media, which is not these idiots, I've heard everything from Stephen Smith could have been having an affair with Alex Murdaugh to Buster Murdaugh. The book I was speaking of thinks Paul Murdaugh could have killed Stephen Smith. So, Nobody knows until the legal system does what the legal system does. And if he has committed a crime and they think they can prove it, he will be charged or indicted and or. Okay? But until then, Caillou, anorexic Caillou, yes, and that credit goes to the Glairer for the Caillou reference. God, I just love that. You don't know jack shit, like most things you talk about. So while you may think that you have a right to make his life miserable, the girlfriend, who by no accounts have I heard has any involvement in anything, her sin is that she dates him. Don't fake the funk. No, nothing is sacred. Not with them, it's not. Absolutely not. There is no depth they will not sink to. There is no disgusting tactic they will not employ. Because they're all a bunch of losers who nobody's ever given a damn in their real life about anything they've had to say. Because they're not smart. They're not engaging. They don't speak that well. They don't have original ideas. And they're not that attractive, which I only say that because we all know that, listen, there's plenty of dumb, pretty people or dumb, handsome people that people will cut more slack to because it's like, oh my God, at least I got something semi-decent to look at while they're, blah, blah, blah. I have to listen to the drivel coming out of their mouth. But that's not the case with any of these people. So this is what he said about Brooklyn. Quote, as far as Brooklyn, ... denoting an ellipsis. I don't know her. I could care less about her. No, dumbass. You couldn't care less about her. I would think a journalist such as yourself, Jonathan. Well, you should know. Where'd you go? Columbia? Did you go to the Columbia School of Journalism? I always heard that in addition to a great law school that, they also had a good journalism program. Is that where you went? That's just a little pet peeve of mine, everybody, because, oftentimes you hear this phrase thrown around on here, not in this context, but I think it applies. Oftentimes you will hear these people saying, words matter, words matter. Yes, words do matter. And when the words you say make you sound not so bright, when you claim to be a journalist or a member of the media, you just look like a dumbass. And what really makes you look like a dumbass is when you repeatedly use words like behoove incorrectly, and you are drugged for filth up and down these YouTube streets on the back of my bumper and everybody else's, but yet you either are too lazy and or dumb to correct your glaring, idiotic error. I mean, it's just baffling to me. I mean, I don't know about you, but when I make a mistake, I want to correct it. And I damn sure don't want to keep making the same mistake over and over and over and over so that, I don't know, everybody who's smarter than me, which, let's face it, that's 95% of the people, can just keep dragging me for. Hey, Tuesday, how are you? Oh, he is. He ain't no fan of women, I'll tell you that. Her comment says he is so aggressive and hateful to the female Brooklyn. Yes, he is. He sounded hateful towards her and then says he doesn't care about her at all. He's so full of shit. Care about her. Here's what I'll say. No, he doesn't care about her or any other mammal of which he is not part of said class. He's more reptilian. I've always called him Sleestack Man because that's what he reminds me of. He is the Jeffree Star alien palette. If that had a stick figure anorexic body to walk around on, that would be Jonathan. Yeah, that's what he looks like. He's got these real drawn, this is all very gaunt and drawn, and he's got these very deep, hollowed out eyes. So he doesn't care about her, nor does he care about any of his other fellow man. He's something, you know, he's special. He's different, in my opinion. But he very much cares about being in her orbit if he can get a little bit of, you know, spillover attention. Yeah, so Jonathan, sweetie, you gonzo journalist, you. Come on now. I want you to make Hunter S. Thompson proud. Of course, the only thing he knows about Hunter S. Thompson, I would imagine, is what he learned in the Johnny Depp trial. Yeah, it's probably the first time he's heard that name. Just get it right, Jonathan. It's not that hard. Just remember it like a kindergartner would. I like popsicles so much versus I don't like popsicles. It's not that hard. Because when you say, I could care less, well, that's exactly what it means. It means you could care less. What your dumbass is trying to say is, I couldn't care less. Yes, Alabama, that is correct. Oh, here's another good one. This is what he said in regards to harassing Buster in Brooklyn when they went out to walk the dog. And of course, you know, like a child, like an immature, poorly spoken child, he basically wanted to say, well, everybody else is doing it. That was kind of the vibe I got. It was, oh yeah, there's a whole bunch of us out there, the media. Dude, you are not the media, okay? You're not. Call yourself a giraffe. Call yourself the media. I don't give a shit. Just because you say it does not make it so. Here's your journalist. Quote, I've seen a lot of people out there. ... End quote. The prosecution rests its case, Your Honor. You know, I'm sorry. You want to call yourself a journalist? You want to say you're in the media? I'm going to hold you to a basic high school, middle school English vernacular. And then he, you know, he opines about, you know, he's been following around and asking questions. He's got questions for Buster Murdoch. Among those questions are questions about law school, questions about Stephen Smith, and he says, and he won't answer my questions. This is what he should tell you. He doesn't have to answer your questions. You're not a lawyer. You're not a member of the media. You are an unhinged looking and acting private citizen who's found a way to supplement EBT reloads by playing all the things I just mentioned. And I don't know, getting little old ladies who think you've changed your life to pay for your little trips where you're tripping through the daisies. Get out of the bushes, Jonathan. What the fuck are you in the bushes for? I don't get it. You're already scary enough not in the bushes. You really should be careful too, because you just never know, Jonathan. There are some very crazy, unhinged people running around out here. In fact, you probably know a lot of them. Maybe you were in prison with them. I don't know. Did you tell Vinnie Politan that, by the way? I see, to me, I understand what they were doing. He doesn't, because he's an idiot. But they were using him as content because, let's face it, we are getting to the place with this immediate part of the Murdoch story where, you know, it's starting to die down until we have the next thing, whatever that is. You know, I'm sure there'll be a presser when Harpootlian and Griffin file an appeal. But barring those perfunctory things that are going to happen, the casual observer, their interest is, you know, they're moving on to other things until something else of note happens, and it will, but we're not in that part of the news cycle at the moment. So I'm sure Court TV is starting to clearly dig into the bottom of the dumpster and, oh, well, let's put this idiot on. So they're using him for content, and they're also, I think, in a very kind of way, you know, showing the public kind of like, hey, you want this, or you want to come here and get real? I mean, I think it was done for any number of reasons, probably none of which are what he thinks, but and then we had the best part, which came at the end when the lawyer, hold on, y'all, I'm going to open up that blind just a little bit. Now it's too dark. Oh, shit. Oh, goodness, I just realized, y'all, I don't usually get up while I'm in the chair. I forgot I had on these very low-waisted jeans. I'm like that guy from, who was that guy? Was he from NBC? He was, during COVID, he was from one of the big networks, and they were having a Zoom call. And remember, he was, let's just say he didn't have any pants on. I'm that guy. I forgot I had on these very low slung jeans, but you don't usually see anything except from here up. So, well, Molly, there you go. I just proved to you I wasn't bullshitting when I told you could bounce a quarter off my stomach. The lawyer at the end, when she tells JLR that Brooklyn or Buster, it's not personal, sir. In South Carolina, to get a restraining order, you have to file 2 police reports. So I understand you said that you were on a, you know, a public sidewalk, whatever the fuck you said. And as for his questions, she said, well, Molly's moose knuckle, thank you. But, you know, I usually don't Usually don't see anything except from here up, except when I do the videos. But thank you, I appreciate that. She told him that, sir, I wouldn't answer your questions either. And you could tell she had zero use for this dumb. You know, she was going, this is what she was doing. She was texting Vinnie Politan or the booker from Court TV, and she was saying, oh my God, I cannot believe you put me on with this asshole. Oh, next time I see you, yeah, you owe me dinner. Oh, yes. And then at the very end, Jonathan says, Vinny said something about, Jonathan had to get his plug in there about his YouTube channel and all the very important places he was going to go. Of course, what he didn't say was, well, Vinny, I'm going to try to go to Moscow, Idaho, keep hounding Buster Murdoch. Of course, I'm not going to be able to do that if I have to do it on my damn Social Security check or whatever my, his disability. Yeah, he's the one who calls himself a staunch conservative Republican while being, I believe, on welfare. And if not, oh, Jonathan, apologies. Yeah, Vinny, this is all the places I'm going to go, as long as all those little old ladies will fund my trip. Otherwise, I'm gonna fucking money. I'm a loser. And Vinny said, yeah, got a feeling I'm going to be seeing a lot of you in the future, Jonathan. And he says, as he rolls off all these places he's going, he says, that's my job, Vinny. Of course, I'm screaming out the TV, no, you don't have a fucking job, remember? You don't have a job. Your job is being an asshole. That's your job. So, hey, you just got promoted. Congratulations. You're moving up in the board of directors of Tragedy Pimps. Jonathan, we can't have you be in the face of TPI though, because no. We're trying to we're trying to bring people into the fold, not scare them away. So we're not going to be able to use you. No. I don't know. We're still deciding who we're going to use, but it's definitely not going to be you. Plus, all the female members, they're jealous because you can wear a much smaller size jean than they can. So, we only have so much wardrobe to go around. Okay. Well, how far in are we? 147? All right. Betty. On to Betty. Betty. Everything I just said to him, see that. See earlier comments. Because if Court TV did the subtle version of calling JLR an ass clown, oh, you got the very not subtle version at all in Vanity Fair magazine. When I first heard about this, two things. The immediate first two things that came to my mind was Vanity Fair, F them, I'll never read that rag again. And then my other thought was, oh my God, there is, she's gonna, no matter what this is, before I read it, before I even watched a full episode of another channel talking about it, I knew no matter what, Betty thinks this means she has arrived. I can say with certainty, after reading said article all the way through twice, no, Betty, it means the exact opposite. It's more, I'm sure they're very fervent hope that they could usher you out the door, but I think we all know that the poorly spoken tragedy pimp, barn door. We're not going to get that. Oh, well, how does Betty? What was that Betty said that time about a court case? This was absolutely hilarious and shows you how stupid she is. She called. It was about, I think it was 404B evidence in a criminal trial. It might have been about Murdoch. And it basically, it's your like bad character evidence, like your propensity to have committed whatever it is you're on trial for based on your prior bad acts. And, you know, a judge has to weigh whether the probative value outweighs the prejudicial value. And it happened in the Murdoch case. The judge let something in, all the financial shit, and there was a line of questioning by the defense that the prosecutor jumped up, Creighton Waters, and said, he opened the door, and her dumb ass called it Pandora's box. She called it opening Pandora's box. Now, I'll give her this. Pandora's box, opening the door, sort of the same idea. But you never hear a lawyer jump up and say, "Oh, Your Honor, the defense opened Pandora's box." Much unlike Betty's box that's probably not been opened in a very long. Oh no, wait a minute. I forgot she and her boyfriend Dolly. Sorry, I gotta have to walk that back. But I'm not a journalist, so you know. Oh, beer can. She absolutely took it as a compliment. That's how damn dumb she is. Betty, there is nothing in this article that was flattering to you or your, you know, and it wasn't just, listen, we're not going to give her more than she deserves as far as they used her name kind of as the spokesperson for the trolls. They called them trolls. They don't know that we call them tragedy pimps. And even if they do know that, they wouldn't use that term. But that's what it was. Make no mistake. And they used her because, well, Court TV's already used Jonathan, the only other idiot that was in front of the Laundrie's house acting the damn unhinged fool besides Betty. So, gee, I don't know why Betty would have been their go-to to be the face, the spokesperson of trolls. Well, it damn sure wasn't her good looks, her sparkling wit, or her intellect, okay? No, it was the fact that she was, yeah, fuck yeah, they remembered her. Why wouldn't they? I mean, how many people have you ever seen in your life that are to be walking around with a bull who have nothing better to do than insert themselves into a national news story? And y'all, I live in Florida. Hi, New Zealand Mysteries. How are you? That's a new name. Welcome. Do you know how freaking hot it is here? Listen, I have said 1,000,000 times, there ain't a damn thing I am waiting in line for or picketing, holding a bullhorn and or a sign for. No, not a free iPad, not free Louboutins, nothing. No, maybe a car. And it's going to need to be my Porsche Panamera. No. So, gee, Betty, I don't know why you would have stuck out in their mind. Tuesday, yeah. You think she's the most abrasive? I think you're right. Molly can be abrasive, but the difference between her and Molly is Molly can be self-deprecating, and Molly, I can find entertainment value in Molly. I have said before that when Molly was picketing and screaming in front of the CPS office in Tennessee, I was laughing my ass off over that. I will laugh and support that all day. All the rest of it, no ma'am. But I think you're right. She's that, I always say that Betty is a wildly insecure woman who is gift wrapped in what appears to be delusional arrogance, but it's not. Betty is that woman that can never admit she's wrong about anything. She can never give another woman a compliment. I would be willing to bet that she has no real female friends. I think she might have one. And on and on. So I would agree. I think she is. Listen, I think she has learned along the way that, kind of like I was saying earlier, there are ways to get the validation and the attention that she desperately craves. And I promise you, no one has ever given a shit about anything she has to say in her real life. Because what does she have to say? I mean, she's wretched. She's nasty. She's a bitch. I mean, you're talking about a woman who, for fun, under the guise of, working for her community, who goes to BOCC meetings because that gives her some bizarre sense of power and control to get her 3 minutes at a podium where I've said 100 times, the only thing that would get me to a BOCC meeting is if eminent domain was going to come into play and bulldoze my house down. Yeah, I don't need validation in that way. That's the only way she gets validation, is by, it's all negative. Just like, when you're a kid in school and you're acting out because you don't have the life experience to say, this is why I'm doing this. Oh, beer can, you're right. Yeah, I love the thing about oh my God, the puppy mill thing. And what's funny? What she likes to say is, what do you do? You just sit on your ass. You don't do anything for your community. I'm out, blah, 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 blah. Well, what I always say is, what I do for my community is, I pay income tax, property tax, sales tax. That's what I do, Betty. I'll leave the BOCC to you. What, Betty, do you pay income tax? Boy, I sure hope you do. Or whoever's name your channel's in. So yes, I promise you that she is not smart enough. I mean, she doesn't understand. There are so many things that she doesn't understand that she would need to understand to get the fact that this right here, this was not complimentary to her. This is the MTV's Punked from back in the day that I used to enjoy. This is the grown-up version of that, Betty. It's the irony of being such a thirsty, desperate attention seeker and finally getting, oh my God, a national publication has mentioned me. Yes, they have, but not in a nice way. But see, she doesn't get shit like that. And listen, there are people in her defense who are of the Barnum and Bailey school of thought. P.T. Barnum, all publicity is good publicity. I mean, I don't feel that way, but I'm pretty sure she does. Listen, Molly Smooth Knuckle, I know she does claim she pays taxes everywhere she goes. I promise you, she's that bitch. People like her and the ones who scream the loudest about their tax money. Have you ever heard me come on here and start bitching about where my tax money's going? Except for welfare for people like her, that are, don't look too disabled to me. But other than that, I don't talk about that shit. It's always the people that don't pay a dime in taxes, besides, sales tax that we all pay. Yeah, they're always the ones who jump up and down and scream about their tax money. Kind of like this article, a little delusional going on. So I'm just going to read the things I highlighted. It's not too much. And then we're going to all go about our lives and await the next bullshit that happens. Okay. So, page 1, page 2, anything I highlight, we're going in chronological order that the article was written. I'm just not reading every word. I've highlighted and I'm going to read what to me is the most pertinent parts of this article. Tuesday. Dolly made the biggest impression on me from the Quentin Simmons protest. Oh, and let me just clear that up. What they do is not a protest. What they do is harassment. It's like rabble rousing. That's not a protest. What are they protesting? No, those are just desperate attention seekers. But yes, I understand that's the word they use. I will never forget or forgive Dolly's actions there, taking advantage of that baby to line his lifestyle, gross and tacky. Like him. Yep. All of that was so vile. They wanted you to, they want due process. They damn sure want due process where they're concerned. And they will shout at you about it's my constitutional right, this is a public sidewalk, blah, blah, blah. We all know what they do. But they don't want somebody that's going to be more than likely charged with a murder. They don't want them to have due process. They want you to forget about all that shit in the middle. Here's what they want. They're going to decide who's guilty based on nothing more than YouTube videos and little news bites. So from there to right here, where you're going under the jail or, death penalty, whatever. Everything in the middle, like, I don't know, the trial, where you have to prove those things. Oh, no, they don't give a shit about any of that. Nope. They think this is what makes me crazy about these people. They are the biggest hypocrites on this platform because they will scream and yell through a bullhorn with friggin' torches and pitchforks about their rights to protest, which is not what they're doing, their rights to disrupt the peace of every person living on that street that didn't do a damn thing. They don't give a shit about their rights to enjoy their property that they pay for. They don't give a shit about their rights. They don't care about due process for someone accused. I mean, this is juvenile, not even high school level thinking. This is elementary, middle school level illogic. I'm not going to call it logic because there's nothing logical about it. It's dumb people logic. That's what it is. It's people who are ruled by emotion. Let's think about this. As clearly evidenced by their criminal records. These are people that are led and ruled by their emotions. They don't have control over them. Look at Betty and JLR. They don't have a speed bump between here and here, or here and whatever action it is that they're getting ready to do. That's ill-advised. 777-9311. I agree. I have said that many times. One day they are gonna meet the wrong one or the right one, and yep, they're gonna get what they've all been begging for. And let me tell you something. It'll be the same. It'll be the same thing. They will want to burn that person at the stake. Hi, Hippie. How are you? So yeah, this is the intellect level of people we're talking about here. They want all their rights firmly intact and protected by the very Constitution, whether that's the state constitution or our United States Constitution. Whatever jurisdiction is unfortunate enough to have them grace their doorsteps, their borders. They want every protection afforded when it comes to them and their rights. They don't give a shit about anybody else's. Which makes you an ass clown. Which makes people like me sit up here and roast you and drag you for filth. And they deserve it. And then some. And I've said repeatedly, there are two sides here. Smart people and dumb people. People who stand for what's right and people who don't give a shit. They are nothing more than self-promoting bad entertainment. Just because you are a criminal, be it former and or present, that doesn't make you a lawyer. Boy, if it did, well, Betty could charge, $1,000 an hour. Same for JLR. All right. So very briefly, here was my, well, thank you, Hippie. Here's my takeaway from this article. And listen, I know everybody's read it. Some people have read it from front to back, word for word. I'm going to read what to me was the most important parts. And I am right here to say I am not entrenched in this Idaho case. When it gets closer to trial, the eventual trial, I may get more. For whatever reason, I just have not taken a lot of interest in it. That does not mean that I don't want justice for all of those families. Doesn't mean that I don't feel terribly for them. I do. And honestly, you guys, I think some of the reason that I stay away from some of these really high profile things, especially here on YouTube, these people infuriate me. They really do. First of all, I don't suffer fools. I never have. Second of all, I freaking can't stand dumb people. I really can't. Dumb people piss me off. And all the fuckery and the chicanery and just all of it that goes on. These people are just, my God, they're reprehensible. They really are. And I don't have anything in my life that pisses me off like this. I'm very fortunate. So I choose to not I don't want to be tits deep with these losers every day. So I comment where I think it's really, because I mean, let's face it, I could sit in this chair every single day and do this. I don't want to. All right, so the title of this is Idaho Murders. As Moscow deals with internet trolls, media's true crime obsession snowballs. Hold on one second. I brought another drink in here with me because I knew I was going to run out. And this might take a minute, but not too many, because my sciatic nerve is starting to hurt. Okay. All right, here we go. Corner club owner Mike Trivelpiece was starting to hate reporters. As a rule, he condemns violence. Anyone who throws punches in the corner club gets booted. But 3 weeks into the media storm surrounding the murders of 4 college kids in his town, Trivelpiece was beginning to think that people don't get punched in the face enough. Refer back to the comment I just made. Yes, that's literally the first paragraph, and honest to God, it connected with me immediately. I was like, Mike Trivelpiece, you're my kind of guy. I think he summed it up perfectly. Betty, the first sentence, pumpkin, should have been what do you want to bet? We're just going to pull the chat. Oh, beer can. Is your neighbor on YouTube? Hi, Chronicles. How are you? I would love to meet your neighbor. Bring your neighbor to the next chat. We'll have a progressive dinner of tragedy pimp bashing. Where do you think they would go? Let's see. Their first stop would be, well, we know Betty likes Burger King. Have it your way. Do you think that, put a one in the chat if you think Betty has read every single word of this. Put a 2 if you think that she could not be bothered. And if you think she read it all, do you think she understood all of it? I don't think she's read it. I think she's read the parts that pertain to her, and that's probably it. I don't picture Betty sitting down reading any, I mean, this was 8 or 10 pages typed. Yeah, I don't picture Betts doing that. That's so funny, everybody. So far, we're all twos. I agree. I don't think she read it. I don't think she'd understand it all, even if she did. We know that nuance, because it's, Betty, it's one of these things where it's subtle, but not subtle, which is, to me, the definition of nuance. Yeah, I think she just, sees her name in lights, and that's it. That's the only part she cares about. But Betty, yeah, the very first paragraph should have clued you in that, oh, this might not be a big pro. Well, and let's not give her more credit than she deserves. This article was by no means about Bullhorn Betty. No, she was what they used as the gold standard asshole. Yes, she is the gold standard of asshole idiot who's willing to make a fool of herself. And we just use her as the spokesperson for all the rest. I mean, it's hard to forget a woman that will walk up and down in 100-degree heat with a bullhorn, running around with the human flesh and blood version of Caillou. I mean, gosh, I don't know why they made an impression, but I know it wasn't for the right reason. quote, they want to click on their TikTok or their YouTube or whatever, end quote, said Tribblepiece, referring to reporters and internet trolls that follow in their wake. All social media has done is make idiots realize they are not alone. Mike Tribblepiece, if you are out there looking and listening, sir, you're my guy. You are my type of guy as far as up here goes. And if I ever happen to find myself in, is it Moscow or Moscow? I don't know. I know I won't be in the Iron Curtain version, and probably not in Idaho either. Although, you know, my dad used to live in Coeur d'Alene, which is a beautiful place. But yes, Mike, you are a very sensible man. Okay, nothing on the next page. All right. Internet sleuths are on the case. Now we've gotten to the Brian Enton portion. Quote, internet sleuths are on the case, Enton said in his special. We are talking about the armchair detectives, people who sit through social media for any possible clue. And in the vacuum of information from Moscow police, their voices are louder than ever. Web sleuths earned their moniker in 1999 on a site by the same name, which actually is a great website. It's also a YouTube channel owned by Trisha Griffiths. But their movement arguably reached a pinnacle during the 2010 to 2012 crime at the center of Don't F with Cats, a docuseries about the online manhunt for Luca Magnotta. In that case, sleuths succeeded where police had failed, bolstering their reputation as capable detectives. According to media scholars, historical examples such as Magnotta helped to fuel a fantasy, further energized by the rise of participatory media culture, that audience members are viewers with a job to do. Obviously, a minimum wage job. Oh, that was my commentary, not in the article. Since then, crime reporters have been in competition with a new breed of paparazzo. While reporting on Petito from her killer's lawn, Enton found himself shoulder to shoulder with vigilante civilians and social media influencers like Bullhorn Betty. By the way, how the hell are you an influencer with, what does she have, 25,000 people? I'm sorry, 25,000 does not an influencer make. Continuing on. Who would later upload 3 videos about one of the Moscow victim's surviving roommates, featuring a thumbnail image of Xana Kernoodle's face with the words, quote, "Why didn't you save me?" End quote. Oh, it sounds like our bets. Like many sleuths, Betty's methods seem unscrupulous. She reports rumors and perpetuates harassment of innocent people. But for practical reasons, Enton has needed to find a way to coexist with people like her. I just want to get my job done every day, he told me, refusing to speak ill of Betty. In part, he jokes, because I don't want her showing up to my house with a bullhorn. More seriously, Enton said that it's not up to him whether sleuths have earned their place among trained reporters. The reality is that our digital ecosystem elevates the voices of specialists and enthusiasts alike. At the end of the day, they're still going to be here, he said. I'm still going to be here. Translation: I can't stand that bitch. And no, she didn't go to school like I did. And no, she's not a journalist like I am. But hey, I'm developing quite a career and a following, and read between the lines. Well, hell, you didn't even have to when he said he didn't want her showing up with a bullhorn. And trust me when I tell you, he wasn't kidding about that. Most people know an unhinged influencer when they see one. Something else began to happen during the Petito case, too. I just started to hear like ka-ching, ka-ching. Strangers were sending Enton random amounts of money on Venmo, a standard source of income for sleuths like Bullhorn Betty, which would have been fine if Enton were self-employed, but he had a salaried job at News Nation. $20 rolled in before he could figure out how to set his Venmo to private. Oh, well, just ask Betty, Brian. I'm sure she sets all those e-begging, money exchanging forums to private. Betty's not grifting. No, she's reporting just like you, Brian. Tongue firmly in cheek. Once he referenced web sleuths as the internet people. When asked whether he thought sleuths might be causing more harm than good, Enton answered, I really think that 99, he caught himself. Well, maybe not 99, but like 90% of the web sleuths have good intentions. Do you think Betty falls into the 90% or the 10%? I'd say the 10%. It's a common misconception that sleuths solved Petito's murder. In reality, sleuthing helped police focus the search for Petito's body. But it's a stretch to say amateur sleuths found her. No, they just found. Wasn't there some evidence that they said they found in the park when it opened back up? People are participating in a social drama, but their participation and achieving justice are disconnected. One is not causing the other. Truer words were never spoken. Oh, and those words, they came from Isaac West, an associate professor at Vanderbilt University. Of course, our Betty, I'm sure she knows more than him. Didn't she kind of take credit for Brian Enton's career too? Listen, I couldn't stand to watch it, but one of the clips had her waxing poetic on Brian Enton, and it sounded to me like she was kind of saying, well, I shouted him out to my followers because it was the right thing to do. And I'm sure he ducked from yours. Yet sleuths persist in the belief that they are heroes. Murder investigations happen on a microscopic level. After graduating from the police academy, a grueling process that involves physically demanding drills and literal obstacle courses, an aspiring homicide detective undergoes years of training. To denigrate this process may partly reflect society's growing discomfort with law enforcement. There have been many instances of police murdering civilians. Fearing them makes sense, but considering oneself more capable of solving a quadruple homicide from afar using only a computer speaks to a larger delusion that online we can do anything, get rich, become famous, lead revolutions, diagnose ourselves with rare diseases, and solve mysteries. Oh, God. You guys, I have to stand up. Hold on. Hold, please. Oh, my God. My sciatic nerve will no longer allow me to sit in this chair. Oh, sweet Jesus. Oh, God, that is so heinous. Okay. Oh, my little duck. Where's my little duck? Where are we? Only a week after the murders, so many damaging rumors swirled on social media that Moscow police issued an update saying, "We urge reliance on official channels for accurate information. Instead, trolls and social media stalkers harassed young reporters at the Argonaut, U of I's student newspaper," the Idaho Capital Sun reported. Betty, what's Kaiser College's school newspaper? Correspondence are us? Correspondence you? I don't know. I didn't go there. Oh, God. Sorry, I'm over here doing my damn ballet moves. Oh. This is very unprofessional. Listen, I ain't Betty, okay? Betty couldn't do what I'm doing. Betty couldn't put her. I'm pretty sure Betty couldn't do that. God, if anybody needs like a really good stretching program because you've got a lot of physical issues, ballet bar. Okay. Sleuths spread untrue rumors that Mogan had bullied her freshman roommate into suicide, and the stabbings were an act of revenge carried out 2 days before what would have been the dead girl's birthday. Others claimed one of the girl's neighbors, Jeremy, was the culprit. Hoping to set the record straight, Jeremy did more interviews and voluntarily provided his DNA to police. Yet the so-called sleuthing intensified to a point where he felt it necessary to carry a pistol for protection. And after this stream, I might also need to carry a pistol for protection. God, you guys, I don't put anything past these people. And I'll tell you what, that is one thing that worries me and everybody else that speaks out against these people. These people they're very unscrupulous. They're violent. They're criminals. Former, maybe present, I don't know. But don't think that that does not go through. At least my mind. Okay. After now they go on to talk about a special that Brian Enton did on News Nation. After the special, Enton's fans fixated on his stuffed up voice, messaging to ask whether he was sick or if it was merely allergies. A private investigator texted to say that Enton's eyes look like slits and he should try Robitussin. Sleuths posted screenshots of the segment claiming Enton wasn't really in Moscow at all, that the snow was fake, and he had been standing in front of a green screen. See what I mean? I mean, y'all, if you are that personally invested in a case involving the victims, their families, the real legit media that's covering it, you might want to take a step back and evaluate because you ain't wrapped tight. Quote, "We're not internet sleuths. We're not working for Twitter," Enton reminded his team. "We have to remember what sets us apart from the YouTubers and from Twitter." Well, if that's not a ringing endorsement of Betty and the tragedy pimps et al., I don't know what is. On December 7th, Enton went live on Twitter to discuss the Moscow Police Department's announcement that they were searching for a white Hyundai Elantra. Enton thought the Elantra update constituted a perfect task for hungry sleuths, an opportunity to really help. Now that car, oh Jesus, let's try that again. Now that car's been identified, it's almost like they've got their mission and here we go. Enton hoped they'd take off running and find the car. Instead, they remained fixated on his sniffly nose, trying to solve the mystery of whether Enton had allergies or a virus. Reference back to what I was saying. Later, stationed outside the Kohlbergers' gated community, Enton received another Twitter message from a woman claiming to be one of their neighbors. She offered to drive him through the gates. He met her at a gas station. She dropped him outside the Kohlberger house, which had been raided less than 24 hours before. Enton went live on Twitter. Over the next few days, Enton barely slept, fueled by an adrenaline rush as he chased down rumors and reported on the ones that were true. Oh, so like he doesn't just get insane rumors and theories and then run to jump in front of the camera and report them as fact. It doesn't sound like it, which would be yet another in a long line of things that distinguishes him from the tragedy pimp clown media posse, as I used to call them. Oh God, yeah, sometimes. Actually, when I leave here, I will probably stand on my head. It sounds funny, but inversion, which, you know, I mean, some people do it on a table. I don't have the table, and that's not good for you long term. Don't, if you're doing that, don't do that for daily prolonged periods. It can, I know somebody who had a detached retina and they believed that it came from inversion therapy. But standing on your head for a minute or so until, like, I can't stand the fact that all the blood is rushed here, but it really does, like, take your, you know, your spine and open it up. I've had, God, what's that thing? It's old school. Traction, where they give you a sandbag and you're supposed to put it over your door frame. Holy shit, I almost strangled myself. Never did that again. She dropped him outside the Kohlberger house, which had been raided less than 24 hours before Enton went live on Twitter. He knocked on the door, its pane busted out by the police in the raid. Behind it came a muffled voice demanding to know who Enton was. Enton introduced himself as a journalist. The voice told him to go away. He did. Another thing that distinguishes him from them. Over the next few days, Enton barely slept, fueled by an adrenaline rush as he chased down rumors and reported on the ones that were true. Number 387, subsection 1, paren B, separating real journalists from clown media posse. Over the next few days, we did that. Later, he received a text message from Kaylee Goncalves' family, thanking him for his news coverage. Pretty sure that never happened. Maybe it was exhaustion, but the text brought tears to Enton's eyes. Oh, I damn sure know none of those a-holes ever cry. It just feels so good to know they think I've done a good job and been respectful. It's truly so fucking incredible and has me feeling really raw. Oh, I'm sure there's lots of people that send all the tragedy pimps much love for the very factual and respectful job they do in exploiting their dead and missing loved ones. Since Kohberger's arrest, so-called suspects like Jack Showalter, Jack Decor, who was Goncalves' ex-boyfriend, and Chapin's fraternity brothers have been exonerated by reality, though who knows what kind of psychological or professional toll this kind of experience exacts. One of their surviving roommates, Dylan Mortensen, however, continues to withstand a huge amount of abuse. Mortensen and the other surviving roommate, Bethany Funk, both named as victims in prosecutorial filings, were pilloried on social media. A friend of theirs told me, alleging that one self-appointed detective posted pictures of Mortensen and Funk every day, analyzing their evil expressions and accusing them of the crime. I wonder who that could have been. God, if you resemble that and you did that, you are a piece of shit with no redeeming value. In our internet addicted brains, it seems productive to skip past endings and repost whatever fresh allegations we've just read, misguided by the myth that social media is a tool for social justice. In reality, studies show that screens lower our empathy, increasing the tendency towards cruelty, which can camouflage online as heroism. Wow, does that sound like anybody we know? Oh, I think they did a fine job telling Betty all about herself and the rest of Tragedy Pimps, Inc. I think I should send that to News Nation. I'm going to send them an email. I'm going to tell them that I own the corporation that formed the board of directors of Tragedy Pimps, Inc., but they're welcome to use it. I would just like them to credit me. In Justice on Demand, True Crime in the Digital Streaming Era, Dr. Tanya Horek writes, the notion that audiences can participate in true crime has, of course, always been a feature of the genre because it offers a metaphorical seat in the jury box. What is different about today's true crime audience, Horek says, is their expectation that the genre literally be interactive, that justice is something that can be accessed through binge watching. Yeah, that sounds like a dumb person's thought process. We want to believe in social media's immense power to reverse or at least rectify injustices. The alternative is that we've bought into a massive conspiracy, surfing and shaming and buying, fooled by the idea that our addiction to screens is productive and virtuous. Never mind the destruction we leave in our wake. Job well done, Vanity Fair. I think that was a fantastic article. I think they summed up all of these dirtbags perfectly. And I think it's great that, I mean, I'm sorry, but to me, that was excoriating commentary on bitch whore Betty, bullhorn Betty, I'm sorry, bullhorn Betty, and company. I don't think anybody, well, my mom certainly wouldn't be proud if there was an article in Vanity Fair that used my name. That, I mean, job well done, truly. I think the fact that she would think that any of that was anything less than a public shaming, that it confirms that they are as dumb as I believe them to be, and will tell anybody who will listen. So, all right, you guys, we are 2 hours and 40 minutes in. That's way too long for me to be going on and on, but I'm not going to be here tomorrow. And I thought it was important to talk about it before, things happen so quickly on here. And a lot of the reason that they happen so quickly is because unscrupulous, amoral people, in my opinion, like all the tragedy pimps, in the desperate need to generate content, they will run with anything they hear. They don't care about being right. They don't care about doing the least amount of damage possible to people who've already been victimized enough. I mean, if that's what you want to be, listen, I know what my flaws are. And I'm sure there's lots of people that think I'm a raging bitch. I'm okay with that. And I hope that all of these people, I'll wear that like a badge. So I just thought it was important to talk about it before it's, Wednesday and it's forgotten because something new has come along. So, all right, I've had a little dog knocking on the door to go out, and I need to go stand on my head. So, all right, guys, thank you so much for spending your time with me on Sunday. I appreciate it very much. I hope everybody has a good Monday. And Tuesday, I'm going to do my best to do fashion popo on the Oscars. That's going to be good. I'm very much looking forward to that. I asked Coco if she's available to join me on Tuesday. I have not heard back from her yet, but we will definitely do it. If not Tuesday, I think I can do it Wednesday afternoon. So, but I'll do a thumbnail as soon as we get the date nailed down. All right, everybody, go enjoy your Sunday, and I will see you during the week. Bye.